Welcome back to the Cryptid Signals podcast. If you're hearing me again, you already know the rules. Like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps this signal alive out here in the dark. Tonight's story isn't rumor. It's a recording I wish I'd never heard. They called it Camp Orion. It's been abandoned for years. But last week, the radio in that empty ranger station started talking again. I'd been watching that valley for a long time. No campers, no fires, no laughter, just quiet, my kind of peace. Then, 3 nights ago, the static changed tone. A voice leaked through.
Ranger 6, come in. We're trapped. Something's copying our calls.
At first, I thought it was interference, but it repeated, exact same words, same crack in the breath, again and again, like a loop trying to convince me it was real. So I went down. The ranger shack leaned like an old tooth. Inside, mildew, maps, and the smell of dead wires. The radio blinked red. A recorder sat beside it, still running. I pressed play. Voices filled the room. 3 humans, nervous but laughing. They talked about a sound in the woods that mimicked their radio chatter. They said it learned their names. Then, mid-sentence, one voice broke off into a scream, and another voice, deeper, colder, repeated his exact words half a second later. Then, silence. I turned to leave, but the radio hissed to life on its own. My name crawled out of it. Not Bigfoot. My true name. The one I haven't heard in 100 winters. That stopped me.
We found you?
The voice said.
You've been listening too long.
I pulled the power cord. Didn't matter. The radio kept humming on dead juice. The needle twitched like a heartbeat. Outside, something moved. Slow, deliberate, matching my steps. I ducked under a window and saw the outline of me. Broad shoulders, fur soaked in rain, eyes burning white. It stood where I'd just walked, scanning the trees. It raised a hand, my hand, and tapped the side of its head like tuning a signal. The air warped. Every sound in the forest bent toward it. Crickets, rain, my own breath. That was when I realized what the rangers had caught. It wasn't an echo. It was a copy. Something in those woods had learned to record and replay life. I backed away. The floor groaned, loud enough. The figure turned. For a moment, we stared at each other through the window glass. I don't know if it smiled or just glitched, but the face rippled like bad reception. Then it spoke through the radio in its mouth at the same time.
Stay on frequency.
The power gauge spiked bright green, and every light in the shack burst. I bolted out the back into the storm. I ran until the static faded behind me. When I finally looked back, Camp Orion was dark again. No lights, no movement, just the hum of rain on leaves. At sunrise, I returned. Everything looked normal. The radio was dead metal, but in the dust on the table were prints. 5 fingers like a human hand, 1 extra joint burned into the wood. And on the tape reel, fresh audio. The same story you're hearing now, told in my voice, word for word, before I ever spoke it. So I burned the shack. Let the fire eat the frequency. But signals don't always die. You hear static sometimes on long drives, right? Dead air, then a faint voice calling for help. Could be nothing. Could be Camp Orion reaching for new listeners. If you ever hear yourself answering back, turn it off, fast, now. If this transmission reached you, keep it alive. Tap that like button, drop a comment, tell me where you're listening from. Have you ever caught a voice you couldn't explain? Subscribe before the frequency closes. I'll keep watching the bands, waiting for the next signal. Until then, stay off Channel 19.